United, a football club born from the ambitions of two brothers, Seb and Spencer Carmichael Brown. It began with a mutual love of football between the brothers and their friends. Little did they know what they would achieve. Spencer was already an established and successful YouTuber with thousands of subscribers tuning in to watch his football content every week.
I think it was always bigger than just us playing football. It was more that we saw an opportunity to build the club by playing for them, using our sort of support that we had with our group. For whatever reason, they just loved watching me and my pals play football. So we thought we use that as a vehicle to create a thing that is bigger than that, rather than just going straight in with a team of strangers and a kind of more elite or semi-pro approach, which I think would be a harder sell than something less original. We thought we'd use that opportunity we had and benefit from the fun stuff, like getting to do it ourselves on the pitch, like Wembley and all these things abroad we got to do. It's amazing. So it's kind of a win-win. We didn't know exactly how it would work in terms of support, but it just climbed and climbed, and we were able to use that momentum to then join the league. You know, we've got a stable atmosphere as well. Manager's been with us for 8 years. You know, he's one of the probably longest serving managers in non-league now, and you know what you're getting at Hashtag. It's a professionally run club, so I think that's important.
I knew Spencer through his dad Steve, who was our physio at my last club, East Thurrock. And Spen had done a little bit of a documentary on East Thurrock, and he'd come and kind of got to know him. And the big kind of factor really was my son, who's now 19, would have been, I think, 11 or 12 at the time. And he loved Hashtag. He used to watch all their stuff. And Steve phoned me one day and said that Spen would like to know if you'd be interested in getting involved, and I kind of said, well, I don't think so, I'm not doing anything, I'll come take some sessions for you, and it kind of grew from there. But largely, my son, almost to make my, you know, to bring a bit of excitement to my 11, 12-year-old son, who was kind of like, loved this team and knew all the players, and it was to impress him really.
I sense a little bit of relief, satisfaction of getting a point out of that. And that's fucking scandalous if you think that's good. If you think that's good and that's acceptable, it's scandalous. Because we had the exact same result last week, and we came in and people were disappointed and angry and whatnot. You've been so dominant, you've been so good. But we've still got to be prepared to defend. We can't just go so gung-ho that, because we fucking give goals away like they're treats.
Despite the club's success of the men's and women's teams, they haven't lost sight of the importance of a youth setup and the inclusive nature of a football club. And how do you feel the club has grown since you first joined to now as a long-serving manager like yourself?
Well, massively, you know, on and off the pitch. Off the pitch, we merged with a brilliant youth setup that again my children were part of, so I had that contact. You know, they were Forest Glade, who had built up over 30 years, but had hit a bit of a ceiling for them in terms of pathway for their young players, because they weren't allowed to play at certain levels because they weren't affiliated or part of a non-league club, and we had that status, and we wanted to, and it would have been a lot of work to try and build a youth section from nothing, so the merger made sense, and those guys are absolutely brilliant. Then, you know, in terms of helping, you've seen our mascots today, we're our inclusivity group. Honestly, my favourite football team in the world might be our Hashtag United Inclusive group. The joy on their faces every time they get out to play football and kick a ball about is brilliant. The way they love their experience today, and if you're ever feeling a bit grumpy about football, I try and get over and watch them train, and it makes me feel good about things again. But I was quite keen in helping introduce Sonny, and his parents, who run that side of it, to the club as well. So all of that and that grain, and then obviously we've had a bit of success on the pitch, which has been nice as well. It's always nice to be rewarded with you know, for doing well.
What is it like to play in a Hashtag shirt for you specifically?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of history behind the club. Everywhere we go is sort of, we're automatically disliked because people don't like the YouTube thing, and I understand it, but to us it's just football. We just want to play with our friends all the time and just get results.
Social media has become a dominant force in global advertising. It's expected to reach a total spend of £6.5 billion in the UK alone in 2025. This form of marketing is becoming hugely influential for football clubs, both on and off the pitch. It's become a critical tool for fan engagement, branding, and even player recruitment. Brands look at clubs' follower counts and engagement rates when negotiating deals, so sponsorship value is directly linked to the social media success of a club. Hashtag United were born from social media, and their online presence is much bigger than would be expected of a club of their size. They have embraced the power of social media and continue to lead the way for lower tier football clubs. Spencer emulated his individual success as a YouTuber and brought these ideas across to the club that he had created. And how did your background in social media help with the marketing and business side of growing the club?
We've never really spent any money on marketing or anything. Everything we've got has been organic. But obviously my background in doing YouTube for 10 plus years before Hashtag was born allowed me to have a platform, which then allowed me to kind of market the club to that platform, an existing fan base. And then, I think working in social media just helped everything in my YouTube career, really, just get an understanding of what worked and sort of planning things ahead of time rather than just making things and hoping people would watch them. I always came at it with a little bit more of a design approach to it, like, okay, we're going to do this and then they're going to watch it because of this and then I'm going to do that, and very much methodical approach.
A recent study by Sprout Social shows that social media is the destination of choice for people's source of news, trends, and cultural moments. Different generations interact with various platforms to a greater or lesser extent. Dynamic content, especially short-form video formats, are becoming the primary focus, with 84% of social users having an Instagram profile. Hashtag have had huge success in building their following across a number of social media platforms. This has provided them with some incredible opportunities, from attracting their manager to attracting new players. They have over 500,000 followers on Instagram, over 650,000 followers on YouTube, 225,000 on X, and 405,000 on TikTok.
I think all of the club's growth is because of social media presence. I mean, whether it was getting big name players to play for us in the Wembley Cup because their sons and children were fans, that's helped. Whether it was brands sponsoring us in a league that didn't really have those sorts of sponsors because of our social media followers, it's inherently linked to the club, and that's why I've got no interest in kind of like just becoming a normal football team. The social media background is the reason we exist. So if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be here. So we've got to keep celebrating that, and that's what has to be a focus. A lot of these football clubs, they kind of shy away from doing stuff on social media if they've had a bad result or if something's not working, whereas we have to always do that because that is why we're here.
The three most important traits of content is reliability, which Hashtag demonstrate by frequent and consistent uploads, authenticity, which is carved into Hashtag's DNA, and entertainment, which the club provide on and off the pitch. With these three pillars of content demonstrated by Hashtag, their success is proven by their impressive online fan base. Pick one selling point to convince a player to join Hashtag, what would it be?
I would say it's always, regardless of what's going on the pitch, it's an enjoyable place to play football. And for young players especially, the platform we give them to see, for bigger clubs, to see how they're performing.
Whilst the opportunity that Hashtag give to their players to be seen by a much wider audience than other clubs at their level, this doesn't always work in their favour. The transfer market in non-league is not the one that the average football fan understands.
It's a very different system. Most players are not contracted, the huge majority are not contracted, so it's just a registration process and they're kind of free to move given that there's reasonable notice. There's a 7-day rule that's in place that has to be followed. So it does lead to higher turnover mid-season. That's fairly normal. Non-league clubs can't carry huge squads that like the top Premier League clubs do.
The Hashtag United women's team have been extremely successful, despite also losing some of their players to higher levels, with Holly Turner signing for Nottingham Forest Women's in January 2025. The women's team established themselves under the Hashtag name in 2020, and in that time they have been promoted from the FA Women's National League Division 1 South to the FA Women's National League, the third tier of women's football. Won the Essex County Cup in 2022, 2024 and 2025, and they've also won the FA Women's National League Cup final versus Newcastle United Women's in 2024.
I think it's important for any team to support the women's game. I think with where women's football is and has been, as a lower ranked men's team, we've been able to create a sort of more effective women's team in the sense of we compete higher up the leagues, right? That's going to get harder and harder to do because more big teams are coming into it. Like Fulham right now are 2 divisions below us. You know, they're a Premier League outfit. There's no reason they should be that much lower than Hashtag, and that will change in time as it's getting harder to keep up with those teams financially. I think the best moment, if you're being realistic, it has to be beating Newcastle for the women's team at Luton Town Stadium, national trophy. You know, against the richest team in the world, a YouTube team won. That's David and Goliath stuff.
When you sit back and look at this, the fact that a YouTube football team has achieved what it has really is incredible. The men's team 2 seasons ago won 21 games in a row, which led on to them winning the league and being promoted to the Isthmian Premier Division.
And what was it like 2 seasons ago going on a 21 game winning streak?
I'm only just now beginning to appreciate what we achieved by doing that. Honestly, at the time we just lived through it and I didn't have any sense, but now I see teams and I think, God, they're on an unbelievable run, they've gone 10 games, and then I kind of sit back and go, we doubled that and won every game. You know, I think to go 6 games unbeaten is tough at any kind of level. To go 21 straight wins in the manner that we did was quite special. I don't know how old this club will grow to be, but I think it'll be a very, very long time before that record's beaten.
2 years ago, we 21 straight wins in the league. And no one ever spoke about winning the fucking league. It was never ever about, it's only ever about the next game.
Since arriving in the Isthmian Premier Division, Hashtag finished comfortably mid-table in their first season and have achieved a higher finish in their next and most recent season.
I've noticed from my few visits to Hashtag a great family atmosphere with the players, the staff and everyone really. How important is this to keeping players at the club?
Well, I think players ultimately move for a multitude of reasons, sometimes financial, sometimes career, sometimes whatever. I think what we've done really well is we've shown with players that have come back multiple times that it's a nice atmosphere. I don't think we've ever had too many players that have not enjoyed playing for us or have had any good reason to sort of criticise the club. That's quite important to us. I think the manager leads all that with the way he does things. Family-wise, obviously my actual family are involved, so the family atmosphere is genuine family atmosphere, and we try to extend that to visiting officials and players and everyone else that comes across. We get fans from all over the world come to games as well, so my mum and dad particularly do a really good job of welcoming them.
And for the next phase of your development, I know you recently announced the new investment model for the club. Can you tell us a bit more about how fans can get involved with this?
Yes, that's an exciting development. Fans have always played a big part in the club, but now they can actually sort of own the club or be part of an ownership group, which I think is really cool. Don't see a lot of it in England. You have some fan-owned clubs, but it's much more common in places like Germany and other areas. And I think the fans are the reason we are where we are, that we've done all this stuff, is because we've had viewers and fans from day one. So why not let them be part of it? Let them really impact the future of the club by putting their hands in their pocket for the first instance, but then also helping govern the club. There's a lot of big decisions to be made. Eventually we're going to have to find a permanent home, right? And we have to be from a place, officially from a place. And that's a big decision that I don't even feel like I should make on my own, because there's a lot more people behind the scenes that allow this club to exist and are going to allow it to exist long term. So it needs to be a group decision. Most people don't really make that decision. The club is from a place and they don't get to move. Do you know what I mean? We can choose where we're from in a certain catchment. So I'd like to allow the fans that have got us this far be part of that, and also feel like they've actually impacted the ability for us to go and get a home ground somewhere. There's always interest from sort of bigger groups and things to come in at Hashtag, but I think it's quite important we protect what we are, and our fans know what we are, so it's an easy sell.
And finally, where do you see the club in 5 years?
I think the next 5 years for the club will be really interesting. I think I really would like to think we'd be in a ground, our own ground, and trying to make massive improvements in the home game atmosphere. Because it just doesn't marry up with what we do online. There's such big numbers online, and we're one of the lowest supported teams in terms of home crowds right now. We get really good away crowds, we always have, because we have fans in every town. But we've got to do the home bit better. It's a completely different challenge. It's almost a completely separate entity to our online audience. So that's where I'd like us to be in 5 years, yeah.
Every child in this country dreams of being the next Cristiano Ronaldo or the next Alex Morgan. Every club dreams of reaching the pinnacle of English football, the Premier League. Hashtag United have started their journey, they have built a solid foundation, multiple promotions have got them to a position where plans of a new stadium is now in their minds. A permanent home stadium is crucial for the fans and the team and for the all-important matchday atmosphere. The time I have spent with this club and their people and fans convince me that they will go from strength to strength. The journey that they have ahead of them, I am sure, will be as exciting as all of the highs they have already experienced.